Good day, everybody. This is Chuck Gines with GritStreetPhoto.com, and today we're going to do a little raw editing, a black and white edit of a couple of photographs that were sent in from members of the Chicago Street Photography Group. And I'm going to be using Lightroom and Nick's Silver Efex Pro 2 to do some black and white editing. This is the one that was sent in by Bindu, and this is the photograph that was sent in by Martina. And each one is quite different, and we'll go through both of them here. So let's start with the one that was sent in by Bindu, this hallway, this brick corridor, and we're going to open it up in Silver Efex Pro 2. And how we do that is we just right-click on the image, edit in, and down here is Silver Efex Pro 2. Okay, then once it opens up in Nix, it's in the neutral black and white preset is what it opens up in. And you have presets over here on the left-hand side, and then we have various settings over here on the right-hand side. Each photograph is a little bit different and requires different things. There's a lot of presets over here. How many does it have altogether? I think there's 38 different black and white presets if you wanted to experiment with any of those. Even down, they got some real like tin plate, old antique plate presets there as well. So that's a great place to start off with your creative journey into editing your photograph. But for now, we'll go ahead and we're going to close this up, and I'm just going to use our settings over here on the right. Okay. And one of the first things that I'd like to do with any black and white photograph is adjust the contrast, because they tend to be a little bit flat. And Silver Efex Pro 2 has some really cool features that other softwares don't. So to start off here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to amplify my blacks. I'm going to boost those up. Now my screen is calibrated. I don't know how this looks on yours. It might be a little darker or a little bit lighter. And you should calibrate your screen so that you can do proper editing. And I'm going to open up the overall contrast, bring that to life a little bit, and we can do a little comparison. What it looked like before, and as you see, we've put some life into the photograph there. It was flat, and now we've brought out some of the detail in this brick. It's nice and worn over here. So we're done with that. After I adjust my contrast, then I come up and I like to mess around a little bit with the brightness. And again, a cool thing about Silver Efex Pro 2 is that it offers a lot of mid-tone adjustments, which is really critical for making dynamic black and white photographs. So yeah, let's go ahead here. I'm just going to play around a little bit and experiment and boost up my highlights a little bit, 21%. Might bring down my shadows even more. I don't know if I want to lose that much detail. Just a little bit. That was cool. And what about our midtones? Yeah, I'm going to bring those midtones up to about 24%. Let me work with these shadows here a little bit. I was liking that. It added even more contrast. Let's look again. That's what we started with, and that's where we're heading right now. Okay, so I've done my contrast. I've done my brightness. I can do a little bit of soft contrast too. This is a really dynamic little feature here that gives you a wow. That's really cool. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to go plus 20 on my soft contrast as well. Okay, and then moving along, then we have a structure. This is a really cool feature as well, and I usually bump it up to about 10-11%. Again, bump up my highlights, bump up my midtones. I might go down on my shadows and see what that does. Yeah, I'm not liking that. I'm going to go ahead up, but there you go. Look at that. Just brought it out in these walls real heavily. And then fine structure. Go up about like that. Okay, let's take a look and see how we're progressing here. That's the flat image, and it's starting to come alive here. And we've gone through the three settings: the brightness, the contrast, and our structure. We've made those adjustments. Now there's some other cool things that we can do down here. These are filters, just like in the darkroom days. We can try some of these and see what that does. Wow, that's really awesome. That's a blue filter. Green filter. Yellow filter. See what that red looks like. Let's go back to that blue filter. Now that really darkened it up a lot, but look, you can make adjustments here as well. Wow, check that out. I mean, you can get really detailed with this. As a matter of fact, I kind of like that right there. It really pulled out a distinct line of light right in here. See that? I really like how it pulled that out. I might even go back and lighten things up here a little bit in a minute. But yeah, that was really cool. Okay, so that was a blue filter, and we adjusted the hue. Now there's also film types. I don't think I'm going to use this right now, but it's on neutral. But you can go through here, and it'll give you a preview of all the different film brands and types that you could also apply. That's one I use a lot. It's too dark for this photo. And again, each photograph is, ooh, that's really cool. If you wanted to go gritty, this is 400 T-Max, Kodak T-Max. Add a lot of grit to it. Now this is Tri-X 400, which is kind of cool. Go back up to neutral. I don't know. Let's look again. Let's look at that Tri-X there. It seemed to add a little bit of grit to this. Back up to neutral, see what that looks like. I don't know, that might be a little bit too heavy for me right now. Yeah, we're going to skip on that. It's too drastic. Then there's finishing adjustments like toning. Sometimes I like to use a copper tone or a coffee tone. As you scroll over, you can see the different tones. Matter of fact, I might go with that one right there. And there's vignette and lens fall off. I like to apply some lens fall off, but not to this photograph. No. Not like I normally do. Okay. No, I might pass on that as well on this. Okay, I think I got it pretty much where I want it. So what I like to do then is finish up my black and white editing over in Lightroom. So once I got all this, taken care of, and we'll compare here again. That's what it looked like when it was flat. And this is what it looks like now. But we're not quite finished. We'll go ahead and we'll save it. And it's going to bring us back over into Lightroom. Okay, now that we're back over into Lightroom, I got dual screens going here, so I have a really large version over to my left on another calibrated screen. And it's looking pretty good, but one of the things I like to do once I come back over to Lightroom is play around with this clarity just a little bit there. Look at that. That helped out a great deal. Just that little bit of boost there. As a matter of fact, I don't think there's anything else there that I'm going to mess with. We might call this one complete. Mess with my exposure just a little bit. No. Now, if you double click on things inside Lightroom, it goes back to where it originally was. So I would call that a complete edit. And now we will move on to the second photo here. This one is sent in by Martina. And we see here the histogram's telling us that it's way blown out in the white area. So before I take this into, if you notice right here, it's really pushed over. Before I take it over to Silver Efex, I might go ahead and tone this down a little bit. Remember, I didn't do anything to Bindu's photo. We just walked over there. As much as we can there. Right about there seems good. It evened it out a little bit anyways. I could go down and make some more adjustments and get these blues down, but we're just going to leave it like that. And I'm only doing global adjustments. There's also specific area adjustments you can do on things, but we'll leave that for another time. This is just basic editing using the global settings. You can get a lot done. So we're going to go ahead again and we right click on the image and then edit in, and we'll go down to Silver Efex Pro 2 and wait for that to open. Okay, and we have a really contrasty image here, the sun behind this building. So I'm going to go ahead, open this up here, and see what we get. Here's an underexposed. Exposure value 1. Let me see something here. Oh, that's kind of cool. So yeah, I'm just checking over in the presets to see if there's anything now that might serve as a good starting point. And again, I think I'm just going to start out with the neutral. And I'll come over and my standard workflow, and we'll do that without using any presets. Now, also, I should mention, in my personal workflow, I have some presets in Lightroom that I start off with. So, there's a lot of options with this stuff. You can purchase a lot of different presets for Lightroom, and also effects and stuff like that. So it's just all of this is about experimenting and finding what you like. For certain types of photographs, and like all things, it's a matter of trial and error. At some point, you got to get in there and do it. So again, I start off with any black and white photo. The contrast, they're usually pretty flat. So I'll go ahead and boost up my whites, and I will boost up my blacks. I will then move up the general contrast slightly, and then I will play with my soft contrast. Ooh. Man, that's really cool. Did you see what that did? That really evened that out. It blew it out in the sky, but it evens out the sidewalk. Wonderful. That's what's great about this Silver Efex. It's got some really fabulous controls. I'm going to go right about there. Okay. So after that, I like to move to my brightness, and I'm gonna back off on the highlights, come up slightly on the midtones, come in good with my shadows. See there? Let me see my midtones here too. A lot of cool thing to do sometimes is go way extreme and then back off. It's like using a power tool. Push it to the push it to the limit, and then back off a little bit and see what it looks like. So I'm going to go right in there with those midtones. Okay, so I've done my contrast, I've done my brightness. This is my general workflow. Then I'll come down to my structure, and I put a general boost usually. Midtones are important. That's 17%. See how subtle that is? But you can see it. Boom. Look at the detail there. And then fine structure. Again, it's subtle, but you can see it. Okay, well, let's do a comparison. This is the flat image we started out with. And as you see, we're really starting to come alive here. Again, we're just using global settings. I could come in and tone this down a little bit. I like how we're getting some of the definition in these light streaks, so that's looking really cool. So I'm going to go on down and let's play with some filters here real quick, just to see. Remember the one on Bindu's, the blue filter looked really cool. But we might not get anything here, and that's fine. Go back to that blue real quick. No. That really flattened it out. Loses a lot of our contrast. Okay, so I think we're okay. We're not going to mess with anything there. So then I will go down. Let's check out some film types just for fun to check it out. Scroll over them and you'll get to. Oh, let me close this down over here so we get a bigger image too. And I got my favorites, so I always go to T-Max 100. which really brings out the nice grain in that sidewalk. And also 400 T-Max. That's if you want really gritty. That's what if I'm doing a really gritty photo, I'll use the 400 T-Max a lot. If not so gritty, I'll use the 100 T-Max. And I like it because it's very contrasty. There's a lot of contrast. But if I was to use this, I might put a point here and lighten this up some. But for now, let's just leave that like that. I may not go with anything. Let's see some lens fall off here, what that does. I think it's kind of cool. Without losing all the shadow, I'm going to go with a lens fall off of 2. Go back over here again and look at these films. You can also change the grain. Yeah, that's too dark. That Ilford looks pretty cool. Let's roll with that Ilford. That's looking pretty neat. That accents that sun a little bit more. Now, yeah, let's lighten that up a little bit. I do like that to bring some of it back in here. It was getting too dark in there. How I did that was pull back the shadows, and that brought the detail back in. This is a cool looking tree over here too. Now you could also pull in a graduated filters. There's a lot of different things you can do here, but today we're just messing with some basic black and white global settings. We're going to call that one good. Let's bring it over to Lightroom real quick to do some final touches. And now we're back over in Lightroom. Let's adjust the clarity. Ooh, I'm going to go all the way to there. Where am I at? I'm at 64, but that's looking wickedly cool. And I'm going to look over here in the presets here. I got the couple of vignettes. There's 1, 2. Not liking that. Maybe. Let me go over here. Post-crop vignetting. Feather that just a little bit more. We're getting a nice reflection in the sidewalks here. Oh, you know what? And I'm going to add some grain. Not that much. Right about there. Now there's some nice grain in the sky. We got some film grain. Turn this off. And that might be a little bit dark. Again, like I said, you could go in then with the specific tools for doing in specific areas in both Lightroom and in Silver Efex Pro 2, but we're not going to get into those right now. So that's those are the two edits. Let's see what we had beforehand. We had this color image, and we transformed it into a black and white. Looking on the large screen here, this looks really, really cool. The bricks really came to life in that. And that one is from Martina. And then Bindu's, we started out with this corridor, this brick color corridor with a lot of reds. And we made that into a rather gritty black and white. So that was our raw edit of the week for GritStreetPhoto.com. Be sure to pick up my RSS feed and check out my blog and look for more videos in the future. All right, peace and stay out of trouble.